We're back here with my Roadster project. Over the last couple weeks, we've done some big things. We worked with K-Steps to respray this front bumper, and they actually fixed some previous repairs that were done in this hood. Did an awesome job. We had this in our detail operation to have our team install paint protection film on that freshly painted bumper to try and keep it as good as we can, because we can't source a new bumper. Lastly, Jake and I installed a new Turner exhaust from Turner Motorsport. It is way louder, way better than it was from stock, something that BMW could never do on their own. We're really excited to go drive around and hoon around. Now we're ready to tackle suspension and wheel spacing. Right now, I'm just not happy with this wheel gap. We want to close that gap, and we want to push this wheel out to make it a little bit more flush. The way we're going to do that was with a set of ST suspension coilovers and ECS tuning wheel spacers. On this car, we have a stock strut setup that is non-adjustable. None of it is adjustable. A typical stock setup on pretty much every car made. What we're going to do is we're going to install a coilover, which is essentially the same thing as a strut, but it allows adjustment. And in this particular setup, it has an adjustable collar here, which changes the ride height. So this allows us to change the suspension geometry so that it changes the body height, gets us the look and feel that we want, as well as better performance than what a stock setup is going to offer. One of the other options we could have gone with is a lowering spring, where we use the stock shock absorber, but we change the spring. Now this gets us to lowering, but it's a finite amount of lowering and we can't adjust it. That's why we want to go with coilovers from ST, because we get that kind of adjustment that we want. We get into wheel spacers because we want to push out this wheel from where it's at on the hub and get it more flush fit with this outer arch, both on the front wheel and the rear. In this case, on the front, we're going with a 12.5 millimeter. It's going to push the wheel out 12.5 millimeters. That allows us still enough clearance where we're not going to have any rubbing, but it's going to make it more flush fit, which is always more aesthetically pleasing than its inset position from stock. Coupled with that, we're doing longer lug bolts so that we have enough engagement with the threads into the hub. All we did there was we can measure the stud length from the stock setup. We add 12.5 millimeters, which is the size of our spacer, and that gets us the overall length of the bolt shank that we need for the engagement that we need.
Another great reason to go with a full coilover kit is we can just swap out full assemblies rather than have to do a bunch of disassembly. So in this case, our coilovers for the front come as shown. It's a full setup spring and shock assembly. They even sent sway bar links in this situation because we're going to need a shorter one after assembly. And then all we're going to have to do is transfer this hat over to the new one. And we've already done this one. So this is your bearing plate that spins when you steer the steering wheel, and that gets transferred over. And now this is ready to bolt back into the car. Super simple. So we'll get that wrapped up and then we're on to the back. Just finished up installing the fronts, went really smoothly. Everything looks great. And after you've done a few of these sets, you'll start noticing some things like where these brackets are for your wheel speed sensor. And then around back, we've got another wheel speed sensor and your brake hose. These are positioned really nicely. Everything's fitting in a nice natural flowing form. It's really great to also have brand new sway bar links with nuts, so we're not fighting the old ones. These are the things that make a big difference in a kit. You can fight forever on one of these little old nylon nuts using it from your old sway bar link. On the new one, there are things like that you can just fight, or these brackets not lining up and things not wanting to be positioned right or having to zip tie. ST got all that right on this kit. In the back here, you can see we have a little bit different setup. This is divorced, so our shock does not go through the middle of the spring. And this makes it really easy because all we have to do is disassemble the shock, and you typically have enough room to droop the lower control arm down, pull the spring out, no problem. I just finished getting the upper shock mount loose up inside the car. It is super tight behind the back seats, but we just got those off, so now we got to get this lower bolt out. We can drop our shock out of the way, pull the lower control arm down, get our new spring and perch in, and then it's just reverse of assembly. Throw that back up together, and we're good to go. It is the next morning. We got the suspension wrapped up last night. And now we're on to the exciting part where we're going to throw our wheel spacers on and set it down and see where we end up. We've got these ECS wheel spacers. We've got 12.5 millimeters up front, and we've got 20 millimeter spacers in the rear. We've also got their lug bolts that are lengthened for the different thicknesses of spacers that we're going to be running. So we're going to get Zach in here. We're going to get these spacers on, and we're going to set this thing down and get it dialed in.
This is a hub-centric spacer, which means the inside of this opening here fits on the hub in a tight arrangement. And what that does is it centers this perfectly so that you don't have imbalance or out of roundness from how this might sit. Now, this is different than a cheaper spacer you might get on something like Amazon or eBay that doesn't have this hub-centric mating surface, and it's just a width of a spacer. And what that will do is it can move around here. It's not perfectly centered on the hub. That's the cheap way and the easy way out, but this is the right way to do it so that the wheel will properly sit on this new hub lip that's on our spacer.
Safer, much better ride quality.
Much better, much better. This is the stock lug, if you see that, stock lug, and this is the new lengthened lug bolt. And you can see here on this stock one, you can kind of see this was the amount of engagement that we had. You can see it's kind of worn right there. And that's how much is engaging into the hub to hold the wheel on. When we put on a spacer, we want to make up that difference. You can actually see it's almost perfect. We want to say the stock one plus the hub-centric spacer gets us to exactly the length that we need.
It's almost like they did it on purpose.
That's right. So this is the safe way to do it. If you're trying to put on a spacer and you don't change out the lug bolts in this case, or if you have studs, like on most American cars, they're going to have studs where you have just a lug nut. You have to have longer studs to make up the difference between the spacer that you're putting on and the hub that you're putting it on as well. So we're putting on these longer lugs. We're going to put the wheel on for the first time. If I can center it, there we go.
And those also had a really snug fit, not only on the hub, but the wheel as well. So it's really machined very precisely, very good fit. Sometimes you'll get them in there a little sloppy.
I can already tell this just hanging here is way shorter of a distance.
It's pretty exciting when you can tell the droop is already way less. We don't even have the hood shut. I mean, this honestly probably isn't far from the stock ride height before.
I was really hoping for the Carolina lean, have a really, really big...
We can do that. We have the ability.
I was hoping for that. So hopefully Jake's installed them right, because that was the look I was really going for.
Absolutely.
Same as the front, we have the spacer. This spacer's 20 mils thick. The front one was 12, so a bit thicker. And you might be asking, where did we get these measurements? Well, we have, because this is an older car, we've got a bunch of information about people who have already done this, and we have information about people who have done this set of coilovers and know exactly what spacers are going to fit. Let's say we didn't know that, and you have a newer car, maybe you just don't have that info. We can take measurements to tell how much space we have with the outer edge of the wheel and the fender clearance and what we can get away with versus what might cause some rubbing. And we want to help guide you into the right set of spacers. In most cases, we want to put on new wheels that might already have that engineered, for example. HRE, Vossen, BBS, these are excellent wheel companies that we work with that do the engineering for us, and they make it really easy. But in this case...
We actually help with the R&D in some cases on measuring
new models.
Yeah,
like we have a new Land Rover Defender Octa. It's the first one in Ohio. It means it's one of the first ones in the country. And we have a client who wants a set of Vossens for it, but Vossen hasn't actually put a set of wheels on it. We're actually going to use Vossen's measurement sheet, their hole from top to bottom, measuring the distance from the outer edge of the fender to how much clearance there is between the brake components and the suspension, the maximum droop of how far the wheel goes down when it's at full droop and also full compression. There's a bunch of information that allow us to source the right wheels and also help out our wheel companies so they're putting on the right wheels. We want a flush fit where it's going to clearance right at the edge of the fender arch, but not come too far where we're going to have rubbing when that suspension's going up and down.
So basically, with us, if you got a new car or if you have a well-established performance car, lots of aftermarket stuff, we can figure out a solution.
Yeah, a lot of people think like, oh, I can only do this one company or this one other one. Like, this is a great example of, there's not a whole lot of aftermarket that people are making new for this thing. But there's a lot of other companies that we are able to piece together different solutions for, from the wheel spacers to suspension to exhaust, where we've got a lot of great options to choose from.
We've even had some one-off wheel spacers machined to our spec recently for
projects. Yeah, we work with a great company who makes wheel spacers for us. We give them the specs of the car, we give them the specs of what wheels are being put on it, whether it's the stock wheels or it's an aftermarket set of wheels. Maybe we can't source something that's a perfect fit in offset, but we could intercede with a custom-made wheel spacer. We can source the custom ones or the ones that are off the shelf depending on the availability. We actually really like the custom-made ones because then we know they're going to fit exactly how we want. And they're not crazy expensive. That's the crazy thing. They're really great value for what they are, and they're an exact fit for what we need. Before anyone snipes us in the comments, no, we're not torquing this yet. We'll do it in the star pattern when we when we torque them. I'm just threading these in by hand.
Yeah, I'll just get a 1/4" drive impact and just kind of get it as tight as it goes, and that we'll call it good.
That's probably good enough.
I don't know, you've been working out a little bit this spring. I feel like you probably got a little torque in them forearms, a little Popeye action.
Yeah, we're spraying so many bottles, our forearms.
Yes.
You know, like Popeye forearms.
All right, Zach, the moment of truth. Oh, hang on. We'll do it again. Go up. You gotta hold lock to release it. Ready?
Yep.
The moment of truth. Here we go, Zach. Setting her down for the first time. We'll see where we end up. Fronts are looking good.
Fronts are looking pretty good. We got a lot of camber. We're going to do an alignment after this, so we'll get some of that sorted out. I think the fronts look pretty good, especially because we're still going to have a little bit of settling.
And you don't want it slammed. You want to just
No, I don't want
it
it slammed. I want a tasteful drop. The rears, though, the spacing looks really good. I think that looks great. This, we definitely know, even with the settling, there's still going to be some space that we want to take up. So I think we're going to
drop that a little more.
Yeah, we're going to drop it before we go drive around the block, and then we'll take a look at it again.
This is that benefit we were talking about with the full adjustability of a set of coilovers. We can use this wrench and change our perch height rather than just doing lowering springs where we'd be stuck exactly wherever those springs end up. We can dial this into exactly where we want.
We took up some of this space here. You can see this collar, we didn't have any of these threads exposed. So we wanted to raise the height of the suspension to close up this wheel gap. We got it to about a tight finger width.
You took it about halfway up, I think?
Yeah, about halfway.
All right, we'll see where she is now. Round 2, here we go. And it is going to be a little high here, but we'll just roll her off and see where it ends up. I think we are in the ballpark, and you should roll it outside.
Yeah, let's do it.
That wheel gap looks good from here. Little bit of an audible here. It is now Monday. We need to leave in 2 days for Wookiees. If you check out the front camber on the car, it was really negative after we lowered it, and it was a little too negative for what we wanted. So we're looking for adjustment. There's no factory adjustment for camber or caster on this car. And what we found is this kit. Our friends at ECS, Jack, thank you, sent this next day to us, and it is a top hat adjustment kit, camber caster. Problem is, UPS didn't bring it on the correct day. Ended up getting delayed. So here we are on Monday. But what this is going to allow us to do is we can install this in any of the 3 positions here with our 3 top strut bolts. And we can set that like so to get a lot more positive camber out of it. And then inside of that, we can adjust. So this is the top of our strut. It's going to mount in there in place of our factory hat, which is good too because we have brand new bearings now. And we're going to get this set up to where our camber is really close. Then we'll send it across the street, get it aligned, and then we should be good. Few adjustments. We had to go back and forth, get our ride height dialed in, get the caster and camber really close, at least by eyeball spec, so that it's as easy as possible for our guys to align it across the street. Zach just took it out on a quick test drive, let it settle down. He should be coming around the corner any second now. There he is. It is looking so good. We've got some nice sunshine. Looks great. What do you think?
Yeah, way better. Way better.
We did an initial drop and it needed to go down some more. We dropped like another 1/4 inch in the front. It's looking pretty good, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it looks really nice.
We had to do a little fine tuning with those hats, but I think we're there now.
Oof. Driver's side's higher than the passenger side.
Well, we might want to park on a flatter spot maybe. Okay, I think we got her dialed in now for the final time. Here he comes. Look at that thing. All right, I think we're good finally. It's got a good stance to it. What's the word? You like it?
Yeah, I do.
All right, back from lunch. I think we're good. We're really close if we're not really good. Seems like the missus approves.
Yes, she was laughing hysterically the whole time. We put on a different exhaust.
Slow down though. Slow down.
What?
It's a good sign, good sign. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited to do a road trip down to Wookiees. I'm excited to get it cleaned up here.
Absolutely.
and get it ready. But I think it's been super fun the whole time. It's one of those things, whenever you get a new car, you're always fantasizing about like, what are all the different things I can do to it? You know, we can polish the paint, we can coat it. We want to modify it with good modifications. So the ST suspension, the exhaust changes it completely and makes it your own.
You even said it seemed maybe a little softer.
I think the suspension is actually a lot more comfortable than the stock suspension.
Yeah.
In a good way, yeah. While lowering it. That's what you get when you pay a premium for well-engineered suspension like that. So I'm super happy with it and excited to go road trip it.
Trial by fire. Zach and I are going to be taking this to Wookiees for 5 days.
If we die, now it's on camera, and Jake didn't bolt something up right, we can blame Jake.
All right, we'll close it off there on a super positive note. We're going to get this thing cleaned up, probably give it a wax, and you'll see it next going to Wookiees.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think about this little series we did. We have other project cars coming up. We want to just tastefully modify vehicles, have fun with them, get to enjoy them.
Yeah, we're not into like slamming it and doing crazy stuff. We want it to be 1, aesthetically pleasing, 2, functional, and 3, high quality, so it's going to last for years. This looks like OEM plus to me, which is the exact look that at least I wanted for my own car. So that's what we want to have when we modify cars, customize them.
All right, we're not going to die. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay, you ready? You're going to be mic'd up.
No, wait, for what? Tell me though. Tell me first. Because I need to know.
We did some changes to the car.
Zachary, what'd you do?
We put on a different exhaust and we lowered it with different suspension.
Slow down though. Slow down.
What?